Friends, welcome to the Word on Sunday, a platform to reflect and pray with the scripture readings of every Sunday. Two brothers lived together in the same house. The older brother was a responsible family man. The younger one was single and into a lot of vices and criminal activities. At night, he would come home late, drunk, and with a lot of cash. The older brother knew exactly what he was into. He would spend hours pleading with him to mend his ways and live a decent life. But the young man would not listen. One night he came running into the house with smoking gun and blood-stained clothes. "I killed a man," he announced. In a few minutes, police cars came and the two brothers knew there was no escape. "I did not mean to kill him," stammered the younger brother. "I cannot go to jail. I don't want to die." By now, the police were at the door. The older brother had an idea. He exchanged the clothes with the blood-stained clothes of his brother. The police arrested him, tried him, and condemned him to death for murder. He was killed, and his younger brother lived. He died for his brother. We are the younger brother. Jesus is the older brother. He died for us. On this second day of the Paschal Triduum, the church invites us to look at the Passion of Christ on this Good Friday, because Jesus is our Passover. On this Passover, on this Good Friday, we see three different faces of Jesus. One, the suffering servant, as Prophet Isaiah speaks to us in the first reading. Two, the great high priest, as we listen to Paul writing to the Hebrews, the letter to the Hebrews. And three, the triumphant king, as the gospel presents to us. So the first, the suffering servant from the book of Prophet Isaiah, the great high priest from the letter to the Hebrews, and Jesus shown as the triumphant king. The cross is the true axis mundi. The cross is the center of the universe as Jesus embraces the cross for the sins of humanity. The suffering servant. What does suffering servant do for us? Jesus lowered himself to be taken, to be afflicted, to be offered, and to be sacrificed. It is his blood that spares us. It is the blood of our older brother. It is his life which is offered. Through his suffering, this servant justifies many, which includes you and me. He is our true Passover. Jesus, our older brother, becomes the true Passover, the true offering of the Lamb of sacrifice. 2. Jesus is the great high priest. As we read in the letter to the Hebrews, we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize in our weakness, but who has been tested like us in every way except sin. Therefore, we confidently approach the throne of grace and ask for mercy and grace. On this day, we behold the battered body of Jesus, but we also look beyond it to the dignity as the high priest. Garbed in his wounds that rival the ornate vestments of liturgical celebration, he offers himself on the altar of the cross. Therefore, Jesus is our true Passover. 3. Jesus is the triumphant king. His crucifixion was his enthronement. Lifted high on the cross, he was lifted up in triumph and exaltation. He was not a conquered king, but a conquering king. Therefore, Jesus the Christ becomes our true Passover. As we summarize the readings for today's liturgy, the first reading from the book of Prophet Isaiah highlights to us the notion of a suffering servant and how Jesus embraces, not clinging on to his divine prerogatives, as Isaiah prefigures already in the Old Testament. In the second reading, letter to the Hebrews, we see Christ as not only offered prayers and supplications on our behalf, but also offered his very self on the death, on the cross, and becomes the true Passover. He is our older brother. He embraced our humanity, our sinful humanity, and shows to us the cross as the true axis mundi, the center of the universe. Through the cross, on this Good Friday, which is the true axis mundi, the center of the universe, Christ becomes the suffering servant, the great high priest, and the triumphant king. Therefore, let us confidently approach the throne of grace to receive mercy and grace. Father Praveen Lakkisetti, here at St. Pius X Catholic Church in San Antonio, Texas. Thank you and God bless.